Black Women for Beginners by S. Pearl Sharp. Black Women for Beginners by S. Pearl Sharp. Illustrated by Beverly Hawkins Hall. Table of Contents. Acknowledgements. Where did she come from? And where did she go? Names by which she is known. The Beauty Bank. Madonnas or Madams. Witches, wives, and warriors. Movers and shakers. Taking care of business. Divas don't die. Bibliography. Credits. I am traveling on a spiritual mission, but sometimes I get distracted. The Unborn Child by Julie Dash. For my young sister friends who are at their beginnings. There are 519,870,000 black women on the planet Earth. Give or take a dozen. There's a black woman on each of the 7 continents, in almost every country, and in the space program. So, no matter where you go, she's already been there. She travels with forces greater than herself. Her presence is everywhere. The black woman is the African diaspora in its highest feminine form. Spotlight, please. She is so bodacious that here at the head of the 21st century, other folks are now claiming to be her. So, from the get-go, black is not just other than white. Black is more than the experience of oppression. Black is exactly that. And while we accept the recognition of others as a compliment, we think the black woman has earned her own space. That space is sacred, and we dare to claim that space for her. Where did she come from? And then where did she go? We thought you'd never ask. The black woman comes from Africa, which holds, to date, the only evidence of humans living more than 1 million years ago. Her most famous known ancestor is Lucy, whose skeleton was at least 3 million years old when they tripped over it in an Ethiopian desert back in 1974. What a surprise. However, Lucy hadn't finished evolving into a human as we know them today. That took another 2,800,000 or so years. Which brings us to our first known diva, Sister Eve, our mitochondrial mother, or cell mother. Through modern technology, scientists have isolated the DNA in our gene cells and determined that a sister, who they nicknamed Eve, lived some 200,000 years ago, roughly 6 million years post-chimpanzee, claimed Africa as her hometown, and liked to travel, which is to say scientifically that everybody came from one woman, and she was black. Black, black, B-L-A-C-K. Of course, not everyone was thrilled about this. This bone proves that she's 1 million years old. The DNA cell proves she's 200,000 years old. And black? The Bible says she's 6,000 years old. And blonde? Who wrote that? Still, Sister Eve represents the beginning of modern Homo sapiens. Modern humans. Folks who walk, eat, and reason like you do. And that's what's important. She is the original First Lady. Aunt Viola, Deaconess Jones? No. This Mohenjo-Daro bronze image dates back to the Harappan people of 2500 BC. The woman made a career out of grandmothering. She's the great, whoops, okay, we're out of room. Okay. She's the great-grandmother 100 squared of us all. Everybody has an Eve connection. I got an Eve, you got an Eve, all got children got an Eve. So, how did this African diva turn some of her children white? There were lots of Eves in lots of places. Together, they gave us all these races. No. There was just one Eve who went on vacation. She stayed so long, she became a variation. Like I said, she traveled. Sister Eve, where did she go? Sister Eve and her children went all over the place. Via migration, war, commerce, assimilation, enslavement, marriage, procreation. They took the melanin, the genetic stuff that made them black, with them. In ancient times, Africa and Asia were connected by land, so Sister Eve sent some of her children out to play in what we know today as Asia, India, Europe, and the Americas. Around 5,000 years ago, some families moved from Africa to Sumer in Southwest Asia, later known as Mesopotamia. A few hundred years later, the Dravidians went to check out the Indus Valley, stayed, and ruled it for 1,000 years. And today, India has the largest number of blacks in Asia. This is a picture of a modern Dravidian woman of the early 1900s. Another black prehistoric group, the Grimaldis, made it to Europe some 30,000 to 40,000 years ago and are considered its first modern population. If they'd known about the Ice Age, they would have stayed home. Their icons have been discovered in Italy and Australia. And what this is a 4.5-inch clay piece by the Grimaldis, one of the earliest depictions of the female form. Found in Austria, dubbed, strangely, the Venus of Willendorf. The Anu people from southern Europe and Nubia settled in China, India, and Persia, now Iran, and blacks were visible in China's Shang dynasty from 1766 to 1043 BC. Negritos, whom the Chinese call black dwarfs, are reported in the mountainous districts south of the Yangtze. Some emigrated, but others remained and were assimilated by the dominant southern Mongolian stock, as witness to the kinky hair and swarthy skin noticeable among a few southern Chinese. That's from L. Carrington Goodrich's A Short History of the Chinese People. As documented by Herodotus and others, blacks, Colchians, have been in Russia for at least 3,000 years. Near the Black Sea in the Caucasus Mountains, in the late 17th century, blacks were imported by Peter the Great as servants and amusements. Around 1000 BC, sailors from Africa's southwest coast in Guinea made boats and followed the ocean currents to the Americas. Their self-portraits, stone heads averaging 7 feet tall, weighing 20 tons, have been found throughout Mexico and Central America. Look at that face, just look at it. I knew first look, I took at it. This is a face that the world adores. A 20-ton artifact should make you wonder how anyone could celebrate Christopher Columbus's discovery. Discover what? The Italian navigator Amerigo Vespucci was headed toward America in 1500 when, according to his letters, he spotted black men on the Caribbean island that is now Curacao. He later witnessed African sailors on the Atlantic returning to Africa. So, in other words, the black woman's presence outside Africa became not as a slave, but free. How long were they gone? Long enough for Sister Eve's children to change their physical appearance. Sister Eve's descendants provided the seed for all the non-black populations known today. Over hundreds of years, they adapted to different climates, terrains, foods, etc., with slow changes they didn't even notice. But moms see everything, and when they came home again to trade or to conquer or get some clean laundry, Sister Eve saw that some of her children's hair had straightened out. Their eyes had narrowed. Their physique had changed. They were low on melanin, so they were looking a little bleached, or a little yellow, or, my goodness, even white. So, now there were races distinguished by color, and humans had discovered the art of sexual politics. Well, the sexual part. Conquerors slept with the folks they conquered. Travelers slept with the folks they visited. This took the black woman around the world more intimately than anything. In time, the women who were despised for their race would be wooed, wedded, and bedded by the enemy. What did you say your name was? And then B, the politics part. In dynastic incest, queens married their brothers and cousins to preserve the family power line. Gender, even without sex, was manipulated in political relationships to secure land for empires. Empire building, there's the rub. Sister Eve's children were into dynasties long before the TV show and did it better. During BC, empire building was relatively local. A few conquerings here, a few dynasties there. Africa was invaded for the first time in the 1700s BC by the Hyksos, a people the Egyptians had formerly ruled. The Greeks came en masse to Egypt, which is in Africa, where they learned all the stuff they later claimed to have created their own. However, as we cross the bridge into the Christian era, things get a lot more complicated. In the mid-1600s, there was an Irish invasion, well, in a manner of speaking, of Jamaica. Oliver Cromwell sent a large group of Irish prisoners to Jamaica, where they intermarried with blacks, and over a period of years lost their identity. Today, many black Jamaicans still carry Irish surnames. And that's from Joseph John Williams' Whence the Black Irish of Jamaica. This is a picture of Amanda Cash Roman, who was born around 1840, a black American whose Jamaican mother married a Jamaican Irishman. Exploration is a hard time. Colonialism is a bad time. And slavery for a long time. Imagine going to the market and finding out that you are the item on sale. Sold! Starting in the late 1300s, the black woman was taken on a 500-year world tour without tourist status. And that takes us to our first portion of Black Women for Beginners. I hope that you enjoyed this first presentation, this first segment of Black Women for Beginners by S. Pearl Sharp. Please feel free to leave notices underneath. I'll make sure to post where you can get a copy of Black Women for Beginners if you want to follow us along each week. It's part of the For Beginners series, which you can find online. You can Google online. And I loved being here with you all. Thank you so much for coming, and I will see you next week. Take care.